All right, this is from the Victorious Christian Life, Victory Over Temptation. We live in a world that has become accustomed to violence in the form of terroristic threats, but the supreme terrorist is often not acknowledged. His name is Satan, and he has been the author of destruction in many human lives. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil walks about like a roaring lion, seeking who he may devour. That's 1 Peter 5:8. If we are to walk in victory given to us at the cross by Jesus Christ, we must first acknowledge the fact that there is indeed an enemy. One of his greatest tactics is to convince men that he is harmless or doesn't really exist at all. Those of us who have been overcome by cunning, baffling, and powerful strategies in the past must come to grips with the fact that it is truly the master deceiver rather than the substance or behavior that is to blame. Paul writes to believers in Ephesus, "Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places." That's Ephesians 6:11. To the believer in Jesus Christ, temptation is not a sin, but a call to battle. And we must accept it as just that. In the past, we have attempted all kinds of strategies to overcome temptation with little or no consistent success. We have been told to try harder, or to call someone when we are tempted. To be perfectly frank, when I want to sin, the last thing I want to do is call someone to talk me out of it. There must be a better way. There is. Jesus Christ said, "I am the way, the truth, the life." He has given us the victory already, and we must learn to walk in it. God allows you to face temptation so that you can see the idols of your heart. Temptation can be overcome when we allow God to change our heart by casting out the idols. The Apostle Paul assures us, "Walk in the Spirit, and you shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh." When we learn to do this, we will be more than conquerors through him who loved us. And so, temptation is several things. Temptation is by its very nature deception. Now, temptation is not a sin in itself. Even Jesus was tempted. And there's no way for us to avoid temptation. We cannot avoid it. There's no place to go or escape from temptation. For the devil and our flesh are always going to be with us. And we can't escape it, but when it comes, we can resist it and say no to it. And then 2, temptation comes from 3 sources. First, from the devil, from our flesh, or from other human beings. And the goal of temptation is to separate us from God. And then God doesn't directly tempt anyone. It's incorrect to say, like, I've been tempted by God, or God's tempting me. That's not biblical. And God limits our temptation. 1 Corinthians 10:13, Apostle Paul teaches us how God will limit the amount that we're tempted. Now, the devil is methodical in his temptation strategy. He often attacks us when we're weakest, when we're tired, or when we are weak. That is when Satan is going to attack us the most. And he often tempts us at the heels of a great spiritual victory. If God has poured out an awesome blessing, I can sure bet that Satan is going to, in equal measure, attack me afterwards to try to get me to stumble and try to get me not to take advantage and benefit from that blessing or share it with others. And the devil, he often tempts us in times of idleness, and he's tenacious and persistent. He's not going to stop with just one try at temptation. He's going to keep on going. And the devil leads us to doubt and then to deny God's goodness or wisdom. And so, key to resist having victory over temptation is to know his schemes, to trusting our reason. So that the devil has several different schemes that he uses to try to trip us up. He will try to convince us to trust our own reason more than God and his word. So that's why it's so important to stay in the Bible, to stay in the word, so that we're armed when those temptations come and when we think our reasoning is what it's all about, we can check ourselves with the word. We can check ourselves um, with other people that we trust. So we have to know his schemes, and trusting our reason is not, it's not good. Loving the praise of man more than the praise of God is going to trip us up as well. And then complaining instead of giving praise to God. When I'm tempted to complain, I try to think of things that I'm grateful for and try to remember the blessings that God has given me. And that's part of why I share with everybody the things that God has done in my life, and that I'm very good about journaling and taking note of the times that I've been blessed so that I can recall those and share them in a time of temptation. And additionally, his schemes are self-pity, the neglect of prayer, or depression, or fatalism. Like, oh, why does this always happen to me? Those are schemes of the devil. Or despair, like giving up, the idea of why do I bother to keep on trying to fight? It's all worthless. That despair comes from the devil, and it's him trying to tempt me. And then anger, having a short temper, that is also a temptation from the devil. And so the key to having victory over temptation is to know God's word, to be in the spirit, to practice prayer, and to know the schemes of the enemy. Because when knowing is half the battle. When I know the ways that the enemy is going to attack me, I am better equipped to fight them and to stay in the word and to stay growing with God.